Marcus had been rehearsing the moment for weeks. The little speech he'd say, the way he'd hold the bouquet, the tiny pause before pulling the ring box from his pocket. All of it was perfectly planned. He had even picked the hotel suite himself, room 413. Not too flashy, not too modest. Big enough for romance, small enough to feel intimate. The perfect place to ask Leila the most important question of his life. As he stepped out of the elevator that Friday evening, the plush red carpet muffled his polished shoes. His heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and nervous anticipation. The bouquet of roses felt heavier than it should, almost as if each stem carried the weight of his hopes for the future. She's gonna say yes. She has to say yes. Marcus adjusted the cuffs of his navy blue suit, the one Leila once said made him look like a man who gets what he wants. It wasn't arrogance, just confidence in the bond they'd built over the past 2 years. They had weathered arguments, distance, and misunderstandings. Tonight was supposed to be proof that love could survive anything. The hallway was quiet, except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. He stopped at the door, fished the keycard from his pocket, and smiled. Leila wasn't expecting him until later. She'd think he was still at the office finishing work. The idea of catching her off guard, in a good way, made him almost giddy. He swiped the card. The lock clicked. The door swung open, and everything inside him froze. Leila was on the bed, knees pressed into the mattress, a white towel clutched desperately around her body. Her skin glistened with sweat, her wide eyes locked on him with a look that was not surprise, not joy, but fear. Beside her stood a massive Rottweiler, its muscular frame taut, its head slightly lowered, its deep brown eyes fixed on him. Its tongue lolled out, a strand of saliva glistening in the lamplight. For a moment, Marcus couldn't process what he was seeing. The roses in his hand felt like a prop from a different play, as if he'd walked into the wrong scene entirely. "What the hell?" His voice cracked before he could steady it. Leila's lips parted, but no sound came out. She didn't move, didn't blink. The dog's ears twitched, tracking Marcus's every breath. "Marcus, don't," she finally managed, her voice trembling. "Don't, what? Don't walk into my own room?" His words were sharper than he intended, but confusion and hurt were already crawling through his veins like ice. "It's not what you think," she said quickly, clutching the towel tighter. "Oh, really? Because it looks like I just walked in on you with a dog, and you look," he gestured helplessly, "like you've been caught." The Rottweiler's low growl cut through the room, deep and warning. Marcus took a slow step back, hands raised slightly. "Why is there a dog here, Leila? And why does it look like it wants to kill me?" She swallowed hard. "Please just close the door and stay still. He's not mine." "Not yours? Then whose is he? And why is he in our room?" Her eyes darted toward the window, then back to Marcus. "He came in about an hour ago. I don't know how. I was in the shower and—" Marcus's jaw tightened. "You don't know how a 100-pound Rottweiler ended up in our locked hotel room?" "Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying," she snapped, the stress in her voice breaking through her fear. "When I came out, he was here, just standing there. I froze. If I move too fast, he growls. If I try to get to the phone, he blocks me." Marcus glanced at the dog again. Its breathing was steady, but its stance was protective, almost territorial. "Okay," he said slowly. "We need to call someone. Hotel security, animal control." "No." Leila's voice rose sharply, surprising even herself. "If they take him, they might send him back to whoever he belongs to. And Marcus, I think he's hurt." That was when Marcus noticed the faint smear of blood on the dog's left shoulder. It wasn't fresh, but it was enough to make his chest tighten. "Leila, what aren't you telling me?" She hesitated, biting her lip, then whispered, "When I bent down to look, I saw scars. Not the kind a pet gets from playing, the kind you get from fighting." Marcus felt a chill spread through him. "You think he came from a dog-fighting ring?" "I don't think, I know," her voice cracked. "And whoever owns him, they're dangerous." The Rottweiler shifted slightly, its gaze flicking to the door behind Marcus. Then, in a move that made Marcus's blood run cold, it let out a short, sharp bark, as if to alert someone. A sound came from down the hall, heavy footsteps, slow, deliberate. Marcus's heart pounded. He took one step toward Leila, but the dog's head snapped toward him with a warning growl. "Marcus," she whispered, her eyes wide with something beyond fear now. "I don't think we're alone." The footsteps grew louder, stopping just outside the door. And then 3 slow knocks. The knocks echoed through the room, slow and deliberate, each one carrying a weight that settled heavy in Marcus's chest. 3 knocks. A pause. Then another 3. The kind of knocking that didn't ask for permission. Leila's fingers dug into the towel, her knuckles white. The Rottweiler's ears pricked forward, and for the first time since Marcus had walked in, the dog's tail twitched, not wagging in joy, but swaying in a slow, controlled rhythm that felt almost like anticipation. Marcus's first instinct was to cross the room and open the door. He wanted to know exactly who had the nerve to show up like this, but something in Leila's eyes rooted him in place. "Don't," she mouthed. The knock came again, harder this time. "Leila," a man's voice called. Smooth, calm, almost too calm. Marcus glanced at her, his stomach twisting. "Who is that?" Her lips barely moved. "I don't know his name, but I've seen him before." The Rottweiler's ears gave a soft huff and stepped toward the door, muscles rippling beneath its short black and tan fur. The way it moved, silent, confident, sent a shiver down Marcus's spine. This wasn't just any dog. This was a trained dog. The man outside spoke again. "I think you have something that belongs to me." Leila's breath caught. Marcus moved toward the nightstand where his phone was charging, but the dog immediately shifted between him and the table, its deep growl vibrating in the floorboards. The man outside chuckled, as if he knew exactly what was happening. "No need to be afraid. He won't hurt you, not unless I tell him to." Marcus's jaw clenched. He took a careful step forward, putting himself between the bed and the door. "Who the hell are you?" There was a pause. Then the man's voice dropped lower. "Someone who paid a lot of money for that animal, and someone who doesn't like it when his property gets stolen." Property. The word burned in Marcus's ears. Leila's voice was barely a whisper. "Marcus, he's from the ring. I told you." Marcus's blood pressure spiked. His mind flashed to the smear of blood on the dog's shoulder, the scars Leila mentioned. His eyes flicked to the door handle. No chain, no bolt, just the standard hotel latch. The man outside didn't knock again. Instead, there was the faint metallic click of a key card sliding into the slot. Marcus lunged forward and slapped his hand against the latch just as the handle turned. The latch caught, holding the door barely 2 inches open. A large weathered hand pushed through the gap, straining against the metal. Marcus shoved back with his shoulder. "You're not coming in here!" The man's voice was calm, but laced with something darker now. "You don't understand what you're getting into. That dog isn't a pet. He's a killer. He's been trained to end fights in under a minute." Leila flinched. "Marcus, don't let him take him." Marcus gritted his teeth, pushing the door closed until the man finally pulled back. From the other side, the man sighed. "I have 10 minutes, then I'm coming back, and if you're smart, you'll have my dog ready for me." His footsteps retreated down the hall. Marcus shut the door, this time throwing the latch and bolting it. His pulse thundered in his ears. He turned to Leila. "Start talking, now." She hesitated, then took a shaky breath. "I was walking back from the hotel spa when I saw him, the dog. He was limping, bleeding, and people were chasing him. I knew right away. It wasn't just random guys. They were handlers from a fight ring. I panicked. I opened our door, and he ran inside. I thought I could hide him until I figured out what to do." Marcus paced, running a hand over his face. "Leila, you didn't think to call the police?" "I did think about it," she snapped, her voice cracking. "But what happens then? They take him to the pound calls the owner, and the owner gets him back, and he goes right back into that hell." Her eyes shimmered with something raw, not fear, but defiance. I stared at her. I knew she volunteered at animal shelters sometimes, but this was something else. "You've seen those scars before, haven't you?" She nodded slowly. "I worked a case for them once, volunteering. We pulled dogs out of a busted ring. Half of them were too far gone. I swore I'd never just hand one over again." Marcus exhaled, trying to make sense of the swirl of emotions. He was still hurt, still confused about walking in on this insane scene, but now it wasn't just about them. The Rottweiler had settled back on the bed, eyes tracking their every move. "Okay," Marcus said finally. "If we're keeping him safe, we need to move, now, before that guy comes back." Leila shook her head. "It's not that simple. He'll follow us. And Marcus, you don't understand. Men like him, they don't lose dogs. They lose money. And people get hurt over money." A heavy silence settled over the room. Then, from the hallway, a faint scratching sound. Not at the door, but at the wall. Marcus's skin prickled. "Tell me that's not—" The scratching grew louder, followed by a thud, then another. Leila's eyes widened. "He's not coming back through the door." Marcus's stomach dropped as he realized exactly what she meant. "He's coming through the wall."
The sound wasn't just scratching anymore. It was tearing. Drywall crumbling, plaster cracking. Marcus turned toward the wall separating their room from the one next door. The noise was coming from just above the headboard, sending little flecks of white dust drifting down onto the bed. The Rottweiler stood in an instant, hackles raised, head swiveling toward the sound. His ears went forward, his entire body taut with alertness. His chest rose and fell with deep, slow breaths, as if he was waiting for permission. Leila slid off the bed and backed toward Marcus, clutching the towel tighter. "He's really doing it," she whispered, her voice breaking with disbelief. "He's actually coming through the wall." Marcus's pulse thudded so hard it made his vision jump. "We need something to defend ourselves." He scanned the room, his eyes darting to the lamp, the ice bucket, the metal rod from the wardrobe. He grabbed the lamp, yanked the cord from the socket, and held it like a makeshift club. The sound intensified. The thud became a series of sharp impacts, and then a jagged hole split open in the wall. A boot appeared first, kicking through the plaster. Then a hand, gloved and strong, ripped at the opening, enough for a head to peer through. The man's eyes were calm, cold, and focused, a hunter's gaze. "Step away from my dog," he said through the hole. The Rottweiler's low growl deepened into something primal, a rumbling warning that vibrated through the floorboards. Marcus took a step forward, lamp raised. "You take one more step in here and you're leaving in an ambulance." The man smirked. "You think you can protect her? From me? From what's coming?" He pushed further through the hole, his shoulder now breaking the drywall, fragments of wood splintering to the carpet. His other hand reached toward his belt, and Marcus's stomach dropped when he saw the glint of metal. "Gun," Marcus hissed, pulling Leila behind him. Before the man could aim, the Rottweiler moved. It was instant, explosive. The dog leapt from the bed, his entire body a coiled spring of muscle and fury. He hit the wall with such force that the man staggered back, his arm jerking upward. The gun fired, a deafening crack that made Marcus's ears ring. The bullet tore into the ceiling instead of their heads. The Rottweiler didn't stop. He lunged through the gap, his teeth snapping onto the man's forearm. The man roared in pain, trying to wrench free, but the dog's grip was relentless. Marcus's instincts kicked in. "Come on, now's our chance." Leila hesitated, looking at the Rottweiler. "We can't just leave him." Marcus grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the door. "We're not, but if we stay, that guy's gonna get a clear shot." The sounds of struggle, snarling, grunting, the thud of bodies hitting walls filled the room as Marcus unlocked the door. They bolted into the hallway, Marcus yanking his phone from his pocket. No signal, not even a single bar. "They're jamming the reception," Leila said breathlessly, realization flashing in her eyes. Marcus froze mid-stride. "They? How many people are we talking about?" She shook her head, panic creeping into her voice. "Marcus, you don't get it. A ring like this? There's never just one handler. There's a crew. Trainers, enforcers, buyers." As if on cue, the elevator at the end of the hall dinged. The doors slid open. Two men stepped out, both broad-shouldered and carrying the kind of casual menace that didn't need weapons to feel deadly. But one of them did have a weapon. A steel pipe he tapped lightly against his palm. "Evening," the taller one said, smiling like this was all just business. "We hear you've got something that doesn't belong to you." I put myself in front of Leila. "If you're here for the dog, you're too late. He's busy tearing your friend's arm off." The shorter man chuckled. "Then I guess we'll just take you instead." The pipe-wielding man took a step forward. Behind them, from inside the room, came a sound that stopped everyone cold. A single, sharp bark. The kind of bark that was not a warning, but a declaration. "I'm coming." A heartbeat later, the Rottweiler exploded into the hallway, muzzle bloodied, eyes wild. He didn't hesitate. He went straight for the man with the pipe, knocking him flat before the weapon could even swing. The taller man lunged forward to grab the dog's collar, but Marcus moved faster. He slammed the lamp into the man's ribs, the impact jolting up his arm. The man doubled over with a grunt. "Stairs!" Marcus shouted to Leila. They sprinted down the hallway, the Rottweiler darting ahead like he knew the escape route. They burst into the stairwell, slamming the door behind them. The echo of their footsteps pounded in the narrow space as they descended. Marcus's chest burned, his legs aching, but adrenaline kept him moving. Halfway down, Leila grabbed his arm. "Marcus, wait!" He stopped, gasping. "What?" She looked dead serious, her voice trembling but urgent. "We can't just run. That man, he's not just here for the dog. He's here for me, too." Marcus stared at her, stunned. "What the hell are you talking about?" Her eyes darted upward toward the top of the stairwell, where faint shadows were starting to appear through the door window. "I'll explain, but right now, we're running out of time."
The stairwell echoed with pounding boots above them. Marcus tightened his grip on Leila's hand. "Talk to me. Why would they be after you too?" Her eyes were fixed on the shadows at the top landing. 2 years ago, I worked with an undercover rescue group. We tried to bring down Caleb Morrow's fighting ring. I got dogs out, including him. She looked down at the scarred Rottweiler. But we didn't get Caleb. Now he knows I'm the one who hit his champion. From above came the sharp clang of the door opening. Marcus didn't wait. They ran, taking the steps 3 at a time, bursting onto the roof into the cold night air. Below, the city glittered. Above, the wind whipped at Leila's towel. One bar of service lit up on her phone, but before she could dial, the roof door slammed open. Caleb emerged, arm bandaged where the dog had bitten him. 2 more men followed, one with a knife, the other with a length of chain. "End of the line," Caleb said, Give me my dog. Marcus moved in front of Leila. Not happening. The knife man lunged. Marcus sidestepped, catching him with a punch to the jaw, but the blade sliced his arm. The chain swung toward Leila, but the Rottweiler leapt, teeth clamping onto the attacker's wrist. The chain clattered away. Caleb drew a pistol. "Heel!" he barked, but the dog stayed between him and Leila, growling low. Leila's voice was steady. "You think he's still yours? He's already chosen." Caleb's eyes flickered down at the dog. That heartbeat of distraction was all Marcus needed. He kicked the gun skyward, and the Rottweiler hit Caleb square in the chest. The weapon skidded across the roof. Leila dove for it, spun, and leveled it at the henchman. Sirens rose in the distance. Caleb lay pinned under the dog, his glare burning holes in them. "You made the wrong enemies," he spat. "Maybe, but I've made the right friends too." Police officers poured through the roof door minutes later. Caleb and his men were cuffed. The dog sat at Leila's side as if nothing had happened. "What's his name?" one officer asked. Leila stroked the broad head. "Reaper. But from now on, we'll call him Chance." His tail thumped once against the gravel. Marcus, bleeding and exhausted, smiled for the first time that night. They'd all been given a second chance.